Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tough Love with Lynette. I am just trying to get it up and running and started and get it shared before Dr. Dale joins me. You guys know him as the Wild Doc, Dr. Dale R. Brown. So let me just get this going and get it shared and all that kind of good stuff so we can get the show started. Dun, dun, dun. Good morning. Sorry, it's kind of a little bit crazy. It's always hard getting the live stream going and everything started and online. So just give me a second. All right. Good morning, everybody. Give me a second. All right. Okay. All right, everybody. Sorry, just waiting on Dr. Dale to join and getting this shared to a few places so that other people can join if they would like to. Welcome to Tough Love with Lynette. I am your host, Lynette. And it's good to be back. This will be my 4th episode coming back after rebranding. Used to be Forsaken Generation. And I just felt like that was a little hopeless. And so I wanted to rebrand and kind of change it up a little bit. So, all righty, guys. Hopefully Dr. Dale remembers that he's supposed to be joining me. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, all right. Can y'all hear me? Somebody tell me if you can hear me. Hello. Can y'all hear me? Let's see. Somebody say something. Y'all let me know if you can hear me. I see y'all starting to join, so let me know. Yes, okay, good. There we go. Thank you. Good morning, Velvet. Good morning, Lou. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's got a little green underneath. Gotta keep it looking good. Oh, even in the not being able to get a haircut time, because I know my sides definitely need to be cut. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tough Love. I am just waiting on Dr. Dale to join, and we can get this thing going. Where you at, Dr. Dale? Some people just like to make an entrance, I suppose. Oh, Lord have mercy. Thank you, Lou. Yeah, you can start seeing my gray, shining through. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, it's been a kind of a crazy week. I think Dr. Dale and I are going to talk about our freedoms being taken away, talk about trying to take our freedoms back. We're going to be talking about the coronavirus. We're going to be talking about HR 6666. We're going to be talking about the testing kits for COVID-19 or coronavirus. We're going to be talking about several things. So I'm super excited to have him joining me. If we can get him on here. Somebody message Dr. Dale and tell him to come on with it. No. Oh my goodness. How are y'all doing today? I see a few of you guys in here. How are y'all doing today? I see my longtime buddy Lou and Velvet. Oh, excuse me. I think I was choking on my own spit. I got on my homemade gas mask plugs that I did. Trying to stay current. All right. Anyway, sorry, guys. Good morning, Kimberly. Thank you for joining us all the way from Oklahoma. I always like knowing where people are from. It's kind of fun. I know my buddy Lou is in New York. I don't know where Velvet's at. Where are you from, Velvet? If y'all hear my air conditioner kicking on, I'm sorry, but it's hot. Ooh, Austin, Texas. Nice. I used to live in Houston, Texas. Good Lord. I didn't swallow that so wrong. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just stalling a little bit, waiting on Dr. Dale to join me. Oh, there he is. Yay. Hello, are you there, Dr. Dale? You're blowing away.
There we go. I know, right? In a parachute here.
I just thought I'd call you guys while I'm skydiving. No big deal.
I know, right?
I'm the wild doc for a reason.
Sitting outside on the front porch.
No, nice. Well, welcome to the show, Dr. Dale. I get to talk to you in a long time, so it's good to have you.
It's good to be back chatting with you.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's just dive right in, my friend. I mean, you have been literally on freaking fire lately. We are always on fire, but you've been extra on fire, I should say. With everything going on. And I mean, I love watching you and listening to you because not a lot of people have the balls to get all wild like that. So, I'm always just sitting here watching and giggling to myself, like, what's he going to do now? So very enjoyable for us at home.
What's he going to say? Yep.
Well, and I mean, that's the thing, though, is not a lot of people are brave enough to stand up like that. I mean, that's like what just happened to that police officer. I mean, I've been talking to cops in my area that are local to me, and they're like, look, we're not willing to violate people's constitutional rights for this. It's just not worth it. And I wish more people would follow suit with that. And, if more of them, I think, would band together against this, I think we'd see a little bit of a shift.
I think we could. It's really sad. It's sad that the reality of that police officer, the gentleman's name, I posted on my Facebook page too, and I'm sure you have shared it. But basically, it's like he didn't do anything wrong. It's basically they're going to write him up and possibly fire him because he didn't obey a direct order from a superior. In essence, his superior, though, is asking him to basically lay down his constitutional rights. His constitutional rights no longer are valid. So it's like, no, you listen to me, and whatever I say goes. So it's like, no, our police officers should have their constitutional rights secure, first and foremost, because then that gives them the freedom, and that feeling of freedom, they want to pass that on to others, I would hope and pray.
That's right. Yep.
So
yeah, seeing the lady face planted in the Walmart really went right through me, Dr. Dale. I mean, because I would be that woman, because I'm a big mouth and I'm not going to wear a mask. And I will tell you straight, like, I have heart problems. I have a hard time breathing, walking across my front yard to go to my mailbox. There's no way I'm putting a mask on. And so, right. I mean, they'd have to face plant me. I mean, that's what would happen. And then, I'd be suing for sure. So, Hello. Oh my goodness.
That's Amos.
Hello there. How are you?
Famous Amos.
Oh, he's got the snaggletooth thing going on. That's awesome.
He lost both front teeth here a little while back.
That's how my Lily looks right now, too. That's great. Oh, my goodness. But yeah, so, I mean, this definitely some things that I find very interesting going on in the world, and things that you didn't think you'd see happening in America. But like I say, I think the only thing with freedom in America that's true is that it's an illusion. I mean, I really don't find much he's fine. I really don't find much, I don't really see that we're that free,
I don't either. And the reality is, I've said, in terms of the vaccine issue, dude, he literally just pinched my nipple.
I love kids.
Get out of here, dude.
I love kids. Oh my gosh, yes.
No, see, this is why I fight for my freedom, so I can have fun with my little guy, All right, dude, enough.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's awesome. It's a beautiful day out there. Good Lord,
it's
look
amazing.
At that sky.
It's amazing.
Yes.
I already got up. I got me a wild turkey this morning, and me and my buddy were successful out hunting this morning, so I butchered it. And Amos
I thought you meant a shot of wild turkey. I was like, starting early, Dr. Dale.
No, you're right. Amos.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. So let's talk a little bit about this HR 6666. If I haven't ever seen anything that reminded me of something I have read before in the Bible,
yeah, I mean, just what I would say to people right now is the reality is if that's a biblical number and it contains a biblical number, I'm not going to sit here and say that, okay, that's the Antichrist or whoever wrote it,
right.
Antichrist, that type of thing. But I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to take note of that, and I'm going to pay attention, and then I'm going to check it with the biblical scriptures. Right. So I'll be honest, I haven't read but the surface of that bill. So I haven't got the time. I haven't sat down. My personal perspective of it is I'm going to take it from that. And from what I gather on it, it's just like, why do we need, point blank, why do we need this? This is wrong.
Right.
What they're trying to say that we need. They need to fess up and say we made a huge mistake. When you look at what's going on in Sweden, they're not locked down. Their kids have been going to school the whole time. Anybody who wants to shelter in place has the free opportunity in a free nation to shelter in place. It's just be smart. If you're somebody that is sick, if you're on a bunch of medications, that type of thing. But it's like, so why don't we tell them to lock down every cold and flu season?
Right.
It's just truly sad. And beyond that, we shouldn't even be thinking about like, okay, well, just shelter in place. We should be like, this should be a wake-up call to the entire world and to anybody that has common sense and say, we're going about this all wrong. We have to constantly live in fear. We have to constantly believe that science is going to come up with the next cure, the next vaccine, everything like that. When it's like, you know what? Just some very simple things, very, very simple things. If we did to take care of people's health, we wouldn't be in this situation like we are right now. We wouldn't have to have so many people. If, let's say, they're susceptible, those people would not have to be living in fear of this virus. And the fact that they won't admit that they've made a mistake with their stupid modeling. I mean, like I said, when you look at the HR 666, six, I believe, so make sure I got 4 of those in there.
Yeah.
It's like they threw another one in for extra measure, I guess, and thought maybe it would like throw everybody off and be like, okay, it's a 666, but it has an extra 6, so it's not biblical anymore.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it's all cool now.
Well, Dr. Dale, I have that house. I have the HR 666 bill sitting right in front of me.
Nice.
And some of the things that I noticed from it were, it will be, it's basically a tracing bill to help them with quarantining. It says that it will alert them and like government through a connected app of folks who have COVID and have come in contact and who they've come in contact with. So then those people can be taken away and away from their family, so their family doesn't get it. And it says they will be checked on by the government daily. If you read through the entire bill, it is a violation of the 1st, 4th, 5th, 8th, and 9th amendments of the Constitutional Bill of Rights. So it's definitely something that I hope they're paying attention and they're realizing that if they're literally going against the Constitution, which is tyranny. That's jailable offense from what I understand in this country. So I'm not understanding how this is happening.
We should be capable as citizens, because it is through our consent that the Constitution allows us to give authority to police officers, to law enforcement, to our Congress members, and through consent. And if we don't consent to this and it violates our constitutional rights, literally we should be able to do a citizen's arrest and put anyone that tries to bring about as executive order, anything like that. All right, Bubba.
That's right. I think people forget that we as the people actually have the right to take the power back from the government if we actually would unite enough to do so. We literally have the right as the people to even take away anything they've gained as government, officials and whatever, down to their personal freaking vehicles, if people really want to get down to what the law says. So, it's kind of funny that people really don't understand that we hold the power.
And I'll be honest, I don't understand all that, but I'm starting to be like, I got to look into this. I better start to learn it. And I would suggest everybody else do it as well. I don't have the capability to rattle off what constitutional rights and freedoms I have. If a police officer wants to come up to me and tell me I've got to wear a mask, I don't know it. All I could literally say is that's against constitutional freedoms and I'm not going to do it. And that's all I should have to say. But of course, they're probably going to try and talk their way around it if it's how else do we say it? If it's just a immoral, unethical, and tyrannical type of police officer, law enforcement agent. And it's sad. It's sad that we have to be in this time talking about this right now.
You are correct.
In the reality that we should be brothers and sisters and friends with our law enforcement officials and agents. I thank God for what they do for people in need when they need them. I hate that fact that it's like they use traffic tickets and stop signs as if it's like a way to make money. But I thank God for all of the ones that have, wrote me a warning or just let me go after I rolled through a stop sign.
Well,
And I
especially
understand there's a
knowing they
level
have a
of
quota.
protection. Yeah, it's just, so it's like they've created a business and they created it's quickly becoming similar to the Gestapo, and I've been talking a lot more about the Nazi Germany and things like that because a pastor of mine literally told me this is the book, Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Martyr, Spy, Prophet, and it's just a phenomenal book. And just looking at the way in which they went about taking the freedoms of their nation's people and members and, religious sects of their, God's children, the Jewish people, and yet so many of society sat by and thought it was an okay thing to do is just sit by and do nothing. The level of deception was there, like it just stuff like that.
Just like it is now. Well, one of the things I'm going to say is I'm not getting paid to rep this at all, but I have this book that I read that really helped me understand a lot. It's called the Know Your Bill of Rights book by Sean Patrick. So if you haven't ever heard of this book before, I recommend anybody and everyone check it out. I got it off of Amazon, but it's definitely been a helpful book for me to kind of understand what my rights are and things like that. And it's good to know those things, especially if you're going to be out here and be a loud voice and fighting back. It's good to know what they can and can't do to you and being within your rights, because when you know your rights and they realize you know your rights, it's a whole different conversation than it is for someone who really doesn't understand what's happening.
And the reality is almost like I thought there. I'm like thinking about my son over here playing around, and I'm like, when we start to hardcore homeschool, what I want to do is be like, you know what, we're going to study the Bill of Rights first. You're going to learn that constantly, because the reality is the only reason you get to be homeschooled, the reason you get to even have an education and choose your career and choose your path in your future and have freedom of choice is simply because everything else you learn is because of our Constitution, is because we live in a free nation. So, that's what we need to see. And people need to understand that is being trampled on right now. And of course, people are going to say, no, it's not. It is just simply what they're doing is simply to protect the weak, the vulnerable. It's the same old darn excuse that they've had with medicine and drugs and vaccines for the past hundred years. And they're just sitting here preying on people's misunderstanding and lack of knowledge, lack of understanding of, the fact that all these infectious illnesses declined before a vaccine for each and every one of them was even available. Somebody could argue polio or argue smallpox for the typical ones, but it's like, you didn't vaccinate 100% of the population in the entire world with smallpox. So there's no way, and there are entire regions of the world, that were never touched with a vaccine, and it's like, if that really was true, then why, if vaccines were so effective, why couldn't they have done it with every single other, with the transportation methods, the science and the knowledge they have now, the ability, the money, all this stuff now, they can't do it again.
Well, and if you think about it, Dr. Dale, one of the things that's crazy to me is you've got the flu death rate is higher than the COVID-19 death rate. And, you think about that for a minute. Number one, we don't do what we're doing right now to our country because of the flu, but also the flu has a vaccine. Okay. And its death rate is still way up there. So you've got all these people waiting on this miracle vaccine for COVID that, number one, is not even going to be tested in any way, shape, or form the way other ones are that still cause major injury. And I mean, you have to wonder what in the world's going to happen here, because I think a lot of people out of fear will get this, even if they may not have been interested in the flu vaccine or things like that in the past, just because they have put so much fear in people over this. Yeah.
It's a societal engineering is what they're doing right now, because there's going to be a portion, and probably a decent amount. I don't know whether it would be 50% or 60% or what it would be, but I'd say it's probably going to be near 60% of the 50% of the population is going to be like, no, we never want to go through this again. So everyone has to take a vaccine. So we're going to have a massive societal pressure and hatred going towards anyone who doesn't want the vaccine. And I said the other day, you look at the flu vaccine, you look at it over history, since they started implementing it on a large scale, it was roughly 1977 when they started to do the flu vaccine and pneumonia vaccines for elderly individuals. And then those vaccines, especially the flu vaccine, rose in the percentage of population that was receiving it. Since 1977, literally the year they started, there's a change in trajectory. Their excuse is, well, we just started tracking it better then. So I'm like, then you have to say all the prior history data is completely wrong, and you must throw it out in any and every study that you say that vaccines have reduced illness. Well, then you can't. You can't. You because you're telling me you can't use the data prior to. You weren't tracking it well enough prior to, but it's gone up, and it's gone up in the last 10 to 15 years. It's gone from when the CDC said that the average flu and pneumonia deaths, and flu as a contributing factor to pneumonia, that it was roughly 36,000 per year. And now we're looking at 80 some thousand. I think it was 84,017 year 2017, 18. That was the highest ever recorded year. And again, if you go back then, I would say, okay, so the argument I just had from people who say we started tracking and mandatory reporting of these deaths in 1977. So if they started reporting it then, it went up, and then it's gone up in the last 10 years even further. You know what? It's not more awareness. It's not like, oh, we would have twice as many deaths. We would have 10, 15, 20, whatever they want to say, the percentage of people that are being saved because of the flu vaccine. The number's gone up as vaccination rates have gone up. Right. So, but yet it's like, it's people without common sense. And it's sad because of how much they've been brainwashed into believing and having a false faith, a religious faith in vaccinations, that they'll fall for the excuse of, well, there would be a lot more people dying if we didn't have the flu vaccine. So we need more people to get the flu vaccine. It would be even more effective. We would save even more lives. And they just completely brush aside, and they discount. They have no concern for the fact that it's gone up. The rates have gone up with the rates of the vaccine. That's their excuse there. And now their excuse with COVID is going to be, just with the lockdowns, they're going to say, well, it would have been a lot worse. Just like if it wasn't for the vaccine, it would be a lot worse. If it wasn't for the lockdowns, it would have been a lot worse. So we did it right. But yet there is so many examples in our society of different regions of the United States, different regions of the world that never, Taiwan, Sweden, I think Del Bigtree listed a ton of them off. It's just like, there's your control group. They proved your model wrong. They proved that you were way off. And in fact, when I'm looking at, like, granted, we're looking at a military naval ship, and you could say, well, they're a healthier group of individuals. They're physically fit. They take better care of themselves. They're not a group of elderly. So their risk ratio is going to be lower. But yet roughly 60% of those individuals were asymptomatic. Right. And I'm like, that's the same as like and I talked about them a while back, and I've got another one. And they've been testing. What's unique is they've been doing the research studies on the rates of coronavirus. They've been doing the research studies in New York. So I'm like, New York's like this epicenter. They've been doing coronavirus research studies in New York for the last several years on the rates. And the rates is asymptomatic transmission or illness or infection, whatever you want to call it. It's not really illness. If you're asymptomatic, you don't even get ill. You fight it off so well, you don't even get ill. So the reality is, it's no different. The asymptomatic rates are no different. They might be, again, we're working off of partial data right now, and working off of a subgroup, a smaller group, a healthier group. So maybe it would be 50% are asymptomatic. That's not that much worse than what we had in prior years with coronaviruses. Right. So it's like, to me, it's like, for Fauci to be this so-called expert, for all these people who are speaking, for our government and supposedly for the United States people, and supposedly the health department directors and different people, they're the ones making the decisions, but yet not a single one of them have relied on and even mentioned prior studies on the rates of coronavirus. The fact that coronavirus was causing and known to cause a subset of the total pneumonia cases every single year. So that 2017, 2018 year, a portion of the pneumonia cases were caused by coronaviruses. Many were caused by rhinoviruses. Rhinovirus makes up roughly 50 some percent. I think it's like 55% of the yearly infection rates that cause influenza-like illness. So it's like, it's like they are hiding information. They don't want us to know that they knew these rates, that they're matching up with prior years. They just don't care, or they're not suited and they're not qualified to maintain those positions in our official healthcare, leaders, period.
Right. Well, you're seeing them talk about now. The FDA came out and once again yesterday updated saying that the test that they have been recommending has been, I sent it to you today, has been causing tons of false positives. And then you've got all these doctors coming out talking about being pressured to put COVID-19 on the death certificates, even if it wasn't something they thought was it, and then you got other ones saying they're literally being, pressured to presume that's what it is. If it's even cold-like symptoms with a heart attack or with you die from a car crash, but you died with COVID, it's a COVID-19 death. Like, I mean, it's really hairy-carry how they're doing all these numbers. And it just seems like it's for fear. Once again, it's to fear people into being prepared for whatever they want us to do next.
It is. I've got a patient of mine whose daughter-in-law is a nurse in Florida, and she called him and told him how ridiculous it was. He told me this last week. He's like, and he's got a wife who works at a local hospital as well. They've had 2 cases, one of which was an 83-year-old woman who is doing just fine at home because she's healthy, not on medications. He said the other gentleman is like, the way he said it was, he's on more drugs than cars have bolts, so it's like, and he's not doing the greatest. And that's because basically he's listening to a damn medical system that doesn't know how to get people healthy. They're not healthcare, they're disease maintenance care, they're drug care. That's it. Take that. And then his daughter-in-law in Florida, said there was a guy who was struck by a vehicle. It was a pedestrian walking along the street, was struck by a vehicle, contracted COVID while in the hospital. And he was on ventilator and everything like that because of being struck by a vehicle. And then his death certificate says COVID-19. And ventilators, his daughter told him all it takes is 5 minutes on a ventilator for a hospital to be rewarded with $39,000. So they've been pressured financially to put them on ventilators. I have another nurse who's been speaking out about what's going on, a nurse who contacted me, and she literally said, here's a major problem. She said, the problem is with the 3-letter organizations, and that's the way she put it. And that's, of course, CDC, FDA, NIH. Right. So she said, there is a protocol. The protocol is written that you basically put them on these drugs, you do this, and then you go on a ventilator at this certain oxygen level. So if they follow that protocol, despite the evidence currently saying and showing that if you put them on a ventilator, they have a higher risk of dying. Well, a patient and their family cannot sue that hospital or sue that physician if they followed protocol. As long as they follow protocol, the medical physicians in the facility are immune. Wow. They have legal immunity from lawsuit as long as they follow protocol. It's not about what's best for the individual. It's not about that isn't working, we should try something else. They are simply saying, follow protocol. You're legally exempt. You're legally immune. No one can sue you. You're the one who killed the patient. The patient would have survived had you not wanted that $39,000.
Right.
Put them on a ventilator, which necessitates the use of drugs that are immunosuppressant. So you suppress their immune system just to put them on a ventilator. And then a ventilator, it's so sad, the situation healthcare's in. And again, it's like, well, now we got nurses and doctors who are being pressured by, those who just care about the money. So you look at the hospitals, they're shut down.
Yeah.
They're basically shut down other than emergency care. So they're needing money to stay open. So a $39,000, reimbursement in reward for a 5-minute on a ventilator.
That's true. Very good incentive for them.
They're getting financially pressured, because it's like, either we do this as many people as we possibly can, or we go bankrupt, or you can't get a salary, or we'll have to furlough more of you. So what do you want?
Yeah, and this is a time when censorship is really at an all-time high. Like, I thought we had seen it at an all-time high, doing what we do, fighting back. But watching them censor emergency room doctors and trauma doctors and all these nurses, like, that are on the front lines of this, who are coming out saying, look, we're learning as we go. This is what we found to help. This is what we found not to work. You've got them coming out saying all this, and then you've literally got their videos being ripped off of YouTube and Facebook and everywhere. And, even the news is actually covering this type of censorship, which kind of shocked me. But I think even they were shocked, like, where did this video go? I mean, these doctors were trying to give us some useful information. And, it's just so sad to see that we're at this point that anybody who spoke up lately has had their stuff removed. I mean, anybody. It's been police, it's been nurses, it's been doctors, it's been people that usually you would not think that would be gone after by censorship.
It's so stupid. Like, sharing it on Facebook for our local, like, Clarksville Speaks organization, somebody holds a Facebook page, and it's like, people are like, can't wait for a drug or vaccine. We need to continue on with this and blah, blah, blah. And we hope for antivirals or something, a treatment. And I'm like, okay, I posted, like, here's 6 studies on herbs that are antivirals used in chickens to prevent coronavirus and inhibit. Here's a study on, I know that a Dr. Nepute, he put out zinc, got hammered by the news and media. And I laughed, because I'm like, you know what? Using an ionophore that shuttles zinc into our cells inhibits coronavirus SARS-1. And that was done in 2010. I'm like, no, his accuracy is actually there. He may not have been citing the study when he said it.
Right.
But he's talking about simple, like, you need that mineral. Now, if you have that mineral and you have plenty of it, taking more of it isn't going to help. If you're deficient, which the vast majority of Americans are deficient in a lot of different necessary minerals, vitamins, and hormones that are necessary for fighting off an infection.
Right. So that's because they've pulled all the actual nutrients out of food. You know what I mean? I mean, most of the food you can get in your local grocery stores is garbage. So you're not really getting any of them. I mean, I know iodine used to be in high levels, I think, in breads and different things. Like, they used to have, like, I mean, we used to get a lot of different of these, different stuff in our foods, and they started pulling them out and using cheaper, I guess, more cost-effective things for them, but less nutritious to us.
One, they're doing it synthetically for that when they fortify something. But, I mean, I don't even know if I end up, I think I've got like 13% battery life left. And I even stretched an extension cord out here on the front porch, but it's still, I don't know, maybe I need to flip a switch or something. So just in case. But, like, in my garden over here, it's like, I'll turn the camera around and I'll even show you if I can figure that out. So way over there in the distance, you can see a pile of mulch, and then my garden's way over there. And that garden is literally, it's probably, I have to dig down to get to soil, probably 6 to 8 to sometimes 10 inches. It's pure mulch on top. And when you look at that and you test, I read a book and listened to some podcasts. And of course, I wish I would remember the guy's name, but he did that type of gardening, and then, like, his fruit trees and everything like that. I mean, the nutrient density, the mineral density was so much greater than even if you purchase organically. If they are stripping the soil, if they are tilling, if they are doing anything to basically expose dirt, you literally, the wind, the dryness, the sun, everything destroys those minerals, those nutrients, destroys the bacteria, destroys the worms, destroys the fungus, all those things that generate and create the nutrition, in essence, simplified, the nutrition that our plants absorb through the soil and then transfer over to us when we consume them. So really, that all needs to change. And that's like, hang on, Bubba.
Yeah, it's funny. Actually, my garden out here, I guess they had cut down an old tree and they used all the shavings and all the bits from the old tree and just put it over the garden. And when I dig down in that, there is earthworms everywhere. There is like grubs and bugs, and there is just so much life down there. It's like almost steamy in there. It's like, wow.
It's
so
black.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's nice. And I told my daughter, I was like, I could basically grow anything. I mean, anything you really put in there, it does really, really well. And I even like put, I'll like flip around how I do my compost and different things with my chicken poop. And,
Nice.
so it's just funny because, people don't realize that it's really good for you to try to get back to those natural ways. Just like in times like this, when things were low on the grocery store shelves and you can't really get what you're used to being able to get, it sure is nice to be able to walk outside in your own yard and get what you need. So I think, it's one of the things I keep telling you, it's time to get back to that. I love knowing how to do those things. I mean, I've butchered pigs. I've done all kinds of stuff like
here pretty soon. We might have to, if we all decide not to get the vaccine and half the U.S. decides that they're going to basically attempt to enforce, stay-at-home orders.
Well, and you're right.
Until you get a vaccine, until you're infected, or until you.
We speak with our money. We speak with our money. So I
we
mean,
may
as long
have
as
to grow all our own.
Yeah, as long as we keep putting our money into their pockets, they keep having all the power. So I mean, the more self-sufficient we get, I think the better off we'll all be.
That's exactly right. I completely agree with that.
Well, let's see here. Let's hopefully I don't lose you.
No worries. I got like 10% left.
All right. So what do you think about how would we go about getting them to look in possibly the number of SIDS deaths or the lack thereof during this lockdown? Like, how would that be something that we could, possibly look into? Because I know a lot of children are missing those baby visits right now. And I'm curious if, because I heard one person say that one of my friends, they work in, a hospital, and that they, a lot of times you end up having to put that on the death certificate. And she said, man, I didn't even think about it, but for weeks and weeks now, I haven't had to sign that to one death certificate. So I'm curious, if there's a way to gather that information for us to see the decline and maybe, add to our argument.
I would say that we probably need to check VAERS. VAERS will probably have a substantial reduction.
There you go.
Number of reports throughout this time frame. Now it'll probably be, and we'll have to look at vaccine administration dates on VAERS, because more than likely it's going to be they're probably like VAERS reports are coming in that are basically been filed before the quarantine. Yeah. So we'll probably be looking at that. But if we look at vaccination administration dates and look at that in VAERS, I bet you we will see a huge decline and decrease.
I think so too. I do too.
Especially if we suddenly see a massive jump and increase, in VAERS reports immediately following the catch-up schedule that most children are probably going to receive come, the end of quarantine.
Right. It's a whole different world than it was a year ago. A year ago, you and I actually met for the first time in person. I'd been following you forever online, and we had done a show together before that. But we actually got to meet in person in Wisconsin. And it's so funny to look at a year ago. Here we were traveling halfway across the country and getting to go be with hundreds of people. And, and now we're literally locked in our homes, trying to figure out how, what's the best strategy to fight back. Hell, my vehicle tags have been out since February, Dr. Dale. I feel like I'm a rebel every day I leave my house at this point, Oh,
Keep it up. But
right.
It's like, for that, I guess if you don't use it for business or something, then you're supposed to be able to freely travel without license plates, because as long as you don't use it for business. I've read stuff on that. It's where I'm like, man, I wish I knew the Constitution and could rattle that stuff out and knew the very, very specifics of all the freedoms that we actually have, that we're literally paying somebody, believing we have to pay somebody to get them, to use them.
I've literally gotten a ticket before for my tag being affixed wrong because one of the bolts came out and it was hanging by one bolt. Like really? You can't just like have sympathy and I'll get a bolt, like, you know, like a ticket for that. It's like people are just having a bad day sometimes, I guess, and they want to share that bad day with you. Oh my goodness. So tell me about Free Tennessee, hashtag Free Tennessee. What's this all about, Dr. Dale?
So we'll be protesting on Sunday at the health department. Ultimately, a group of freedom fighters have decided that they were going to protest basically the shutdowns of small businesses and things like that. So we're going there to continue to protest because a lot of it right now is the health department ultimately is trying to push for, again, the different things where it's like, half the people can come into a restaurant. You got to wear masks, or all the servers and everybody has to wear masks. And it's just like, it's just so sad. And like, I thank them, but I take the opportunity. I say, I want to thank you for wearing it, because I understand if you believe that you're protecting me, I appreciate that you would want to protect me. But I want to tell you about that. And I always speak to them, and I suggest everybody. And it's amazing how many people actually do. They're like, oh yeah, I know. I think it's ridiculous. And people think it's ridiculous, but it's just so sad how many people be like, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just do it to be able to go back to some sort of normalcy. Some
of them like it. That made me sad. I had to go to the grocery store, and I live in a really small little town, and the grocery store closest to me is like, it's Giant Johnson's Food or whatever. And, it's a small grocery store, and it was just so crazy to me to go in there and see how people were reacting and behaving, the whole mask thing. And they had it looked like a clear shower curtain around all the cash registers. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so weird. And so I remember saying to the guy, I was like, this is strange. It's like, do you feel protected back there? And he said, honestly, I hope they keep it when this is over with. And I had to go ship some packages at the post office, and she said the same exact thing. I was like, nice shower curtain, like trying to make a joke, and it had like little weights taped to it to keep it from flapping around, I guess. And she was like really weird about me even sliding my package up underneath it. And she's like, well, I hope they keep it. And I was like, we are losing human interaction here. Like, how can all of you be so okay with this? Like, I told the people at the local MAPCO I wanted to come in with spray paint and do the circle slash symbol over all their little social distancing stickers on the floor. Like, I just want to hug everybody I come across, because they look at you like, don't get near me. Oh my God. And it's so sad. We've all been trained to believe everybody's sick. Everybody's going to get you sick and be afraid of everyone. And I don't want to be afraid of everybody. I miss my friends. I miss being able to just get out and go sing a song or hug somebody or have a conversation in person. This is getting really lonely for a lot of people. And I'm losing a lot in my business, my home. There's a lot of things I'm losing because of this. And there's a lot more people just like me, and I got kids to support here. And when people can't afford to buy your products because they don't know where their next penny's coming from, which I'm sure you're experiencing too. Sales are in the toilet right now. People are afraid. And so, it's hard because you're like, I still have to feed my family. I still have to keep going. But the government's literally making that decision for us of whether or not we're even able to do what we need to do. I wish I lived closer to you, because I'd come get an adjustment and a hug.
Well, that's one thing I tell people. I'm like, I was saying this week, I'm like, you know what? If this was just some deadly virus, then why is it family members of my patients, but not my patients, are getting sick? So it's like they're in the same home. I'll get a call. I'm just like, all right, no worries. I give them a few things, tips and information to be able to, I have to say it right, properly, so I don't get another board complaint. I'm going through one right now that somebody reported me. I think it's a medical doctor down in Nashville, or it's the health department. I FOIA requested my health department for my name, anything that said my name. And they've several times talked about wanting to take my license. And they're like, but he's done nothing illegal, so we can't do anything.
That's great. That's great.
That's funny, because
I just love that you even thought to do that.
Ren just laughed when I said that. There's little Ren right there.
Oh my goodness, she's got your curly hair.
Oh,
Look at this. Oh my goodness, hello. Oh wow.
My little girls, they got the curly hair.
Precious.
Amos got the straight hair.
Oh, and he's got skateboarder. He's got like the cool guy hair.
Yeah, he does.
Oh my goodness.
It's like,
Man,
you
your
know,
kids are gorgeous.
I can't say he looks like a California surfer boy, because that would be like, dude, I'd never let him live in California.
Yeah, California is the last place I'd ever live. I used to live in Oceanside, and you couldn't pay me to go back. Oh my goodness.
You know, I don't know why I just thought about it. I was thinking about all these like contact tracer jobs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, we ought to have a bunch of us go and apply for the job and just work as, you know.
There you go. Mess up the whole system. Let's just take it up. Yes, I love that idea.
Right, every single dang politician.
I just saw one of those ads local to me asking to be a contact tracer in my local area. So maybe I'll apply.
There you go.
That would be a fun one. Oh my gosh. I like that idea, actually. See, I like the way you think. Super rebellious.
I mean, it's like, you know, because I'm like, that's the thing, is that it kind of came back from that Bonhoeffer. You know, he was a pastor and he was preaching and stuff, but then he had to like go undercover. So this is like a pastor that was willing to, he had to lie, you know what I mean? Yeah. He had to lie and sneak and be, you know, covert, and basically he still would write things, but then he would basically play dumb. He'd write books, he'd write things, sermons and stuff, and they'd be like, you can't write that. You're glorifying the Jewish people. You're glorifying Jesus Christ. You can't do that. He's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. He's like, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
That's my excuse every time I get pulled over by the police. I'm sorry, officer. I didn't know I couldn't do that. You'd be surprised how many tickets you get out of as a woman if you just say that, because they look at you and go, well, it's probably true. She probably doesn't have a freaking clue. Just saying. It's more paperwork than it's worth.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's just, so I just hope more people wake up. I hope people are waking up. I think there is a collective awakening, but it takes more than waking up. That's the problem right now our nation's in, is there's a level of woke people, but there's people who are woke but won't stand, won't speak.
That's right.
Won't do anything about it. They just fall in line. You know, like I was saying about the people with the masks, like every server we talk to at one restaurant, which, you know, they know us there because they're finally open again. And they're all like, yeah, I agree, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I want to be like, so where are you going to fight for your freedoms, not to have to wear that mask?
That's
like,
right.
You know, and that's the next question I need to engage them in a conversation.
Well, yeah, and I mean, honestly, if you talk to them on that level, you could also say, how many of you who work here feel the same way? Okay, so you guys band together and we're not coming to work unless we don't have to wear this for this reason. You know, I mean, that they're violating our rights, and we have the right to stand up against that. And so many people really don't understand that. They really do act like, well, it's the government, I have to listen. No, you don't. We own them. We own them. Technically, they're supposed to be listening to us. They work for us. So, I mean, it's so rough because we end up with that. I mean, I see it too. Every place you go in around where I live, everybody's in a mask. Most people are wearing gloves, and I refuse. I'm not doing it. I don't care what they say, what they want to do. I will go in, you know, if I have to explain my heart, I will, but I'm not doing it. And people will look at you like, I mean, they run the other direction when you come down the aisles and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, it's offensive, because I'm thinking, I almost want to just start going, you know, just to be a butthole, just so, I mean, at least they got a reason to run. I mean, you know, it's crazy out here. It's like, I'm scared because we talk about the new normal, and I'm thinking, I don't want there to be a new normal, but I think there really is going to be. I think there really is. I was hoping people would kind of come back out. They would go back to the way it used to be, but watching people's behaviors, I really don't know if that's going to happen. I think people are traumatized.
Yeah. There's a societal impact that's taking place right now. I'm trying to figure out why
not charging.
I don't know if I have to it's probably forcing me to update, probably is what's going to happen here, because it's like my phone will not keep charging.
Well, this is definitely affecting our children with special needs. I know my daughter with autism has been having a very hard time being locked down and locked in, and, you know, not being socialized in any way, not being able to get out and go to the parks, or, you know, do any of the stuff we're used to doing. And especially after we've been shut in for winter, you know, and then finally, as soon as it starts to warm up, we're being shut in for this. So I think that's the other part, is we all just went through the depression of winter and being locked down, and it's time to get out and do stuff, and we can't. So I think that's adding to everybody being so emotionally messed up right now. I know it's affecting me. I'm usually bubbly as hell, and I swear, like, I'm even down. There's just so much going on, and it's a lot to take on, you know?
Yeah. No, and that's a lot of my patients who, the parents have said that a lot of their children that are dealing with autism and mental health conditions that they have kind of taken a hit, because those individuals in our society really, really do depend on a set schedule, set regimen. They live by that they need that. They're doing well, and they're but it's going to be probably going to be well, they adjusted to the situation that went through, and then they're going to have to readjust to when it starts back up again. You know what I mean?
Yep. Same for our kids in school, I think too, because my daughter, she was actually doing really well in public school, but I will tell you, her trying to do the work, the packets they sent home, we weren't taught Common Core. We weren't taught nonsense words. We weren't taught all these odd things they're teaching kids now in school. And so me even trying to teach her is hard, because the connection, I don't know this stuff. This is not how I was taught. Math, I'm already horrible at math. And then you add in this Common Core. There's no way I'm going to get that. No way. I was having my older daughter actually have to help with the math part. And my daughter's in kindergarten. So how sad is that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but
it's a trip.
Our brains work differently. Science and math was my big ones. But I joked around. I couldn't pronounce and spell the. I felt like Dumb and Dumber.
Right. Yeah. Literature and science were my strong ones, and math never. Oh my goodness. Hello.
There's another one.
Oh my goodness. You are beautiful. Oh, you look like Princess Belle. That's my favorite.
You gotta show you her shoes. She got new shoes.
Oh my goodness, girl. You were styling and profiling.
Frozen shoes.
That's awesome. Shoes. Oh my goodness. You guys are so cute. Oh my Lord. My kids are at their dad's today. Y'all are making me sad. Oh man. Awesome. Yes, delicious.
It was funny the other day. I had a new patient at my office. I was going to say I had a new patient in my office, and Amos here walks up to him, and the gentleman was actually wearing a mask, and he was cool about it and everything. And actually he was, it's like he somewhat gets that, a lot of this is not necessarily true. And give her some seaweed. And he walked up to the guy and he goes, the coronavirus is a lie, right? And I'm like,
yes.
Bubba. I was like, oh no, Bubba, that's a new patient. I'm like, you can't be saying that. So
you got to give him a few visits first and break him in slightly.
I'm like,
yes, that's like my daughter Lily.
Yep,
if you
exactly.
even,
so I just was like,
yeah, Lily's like 6, and if you even say CDC, it doesn't matter where you are. She says, CDC, tell the truth. It's like, oh, Lord, help me. Yeah, that's always fun.
Yep.
Oh, man.
But it was a conversation starter,
Yes, it is, because everybody looks at you like, why is your child saying that? And it's like, well, let me explain. Oh, my goodness. Well, I'll let you go, Dr. Dale. I appreciate you being on with me today. I know you probably got a million other things to do, and you've got these beautiful, beautiful babies to spend time with. And I'm kind of sad I miss my kids now. You are gorgeous. Good Lord have mercy. Well, good luck with that in the future, because all the boys are going to be knocking on your door. Good thing they got a big brother.
Oh man,
you're in trouble. You're in big trouble.
Amos here, he's gonna learn how to use a shotgun real quick.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna be on the front porch picking his teeth with a piece of wheat, just waiting.
All right, guys, don't block it. Don't block it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I love you, my friend. Have an awesome day. And let me know if anything changes out there, and y'all keep freedom fighting, and I'll share your hashtag.
We will. Please do. And hey, we'll get on the line again soon, and
yes, sir.
Have a little bit more legit presentation of information.
Hey, it's all good. I love it.
Being ornery as ever.
Oh, whatever. I love it. I'm sure everybody at home just loves getting to see him anyway. All righty, my friend. Well, I will talk to you later.
See you, Lynette.
All right. Bye.
Love you, girl.
I love you too. Bye.
Let's go catch a turtle.
You done live, or are you still gonna go live a little bit?
I'm getting out here. All right, y'all. Everybody have a good day. We are done with the show. And I just want to, say thank you to my buddy, Dr. Dale. And, everybody have an awesome week, and keep fighting for your freedoms. Do not let them convince you that you need to hide at home anymore, because we're missing out on all those germs and bacteria and microbes we need to be touching out in Publix. So start hugging your friends and family, And I love you guys, and we will see you next time.